Frack on to the episode of Frack the Canon. This time I am joined by CJ McCree from Milwaukee. What is up, good sir?
What is up?
Um, so CJ, it has been 2 days since we saw the release of the Suicide Squad. Not the Suicide Squad. Okay. Yep. So we are mostly Marvel fans here. Mostly. I'm gonna make my Marvel, but damn, this was a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. What were your thoughts of it?
Man, I would say, yeah, like I concur, man. Like I enjoyed Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad, a heck of a lot. I've been thinking about it. I think it might be my I don't know. It might be it's definitely the most fun I had at a DC movie um since like the Nolan verse. You know what I mean? It's like I had a lot of fun in Aquaman, you know what I mean? I had some story issues with that. I had a lot of fun with Shazam, but I had a few issues with that, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And not that I feel like Suicide Squad's a perfect movie, but I just really enjoyed it. Like I had a really freaking good time with this movie, you know what I mean? And it is adult, you know, it's not that for all ages, you know what I mean? Like unless your kids can you're cool with them going to a movie with a bunch of freaking guts and blood and all that, you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's craziness.
Uh,
It's my favorite James Gunn movie.
I would second that. I would say because I'm like, yeah, like I'm not a big fan. Like I enjoy his movies, but this was definitely my favorite one the most. Just the cast of here's the thing, something that I took away watching the first scene. I'm like, everyone seems like so much more. I don't know. I want to say better than in the last one. I don't because no, not to put down the last movie. I wasn't a fan, but I had to put down that director or that script or whatever. But that was just like everyone seemed to be like on the same page as James Gunn, and everything seemed to flow. Like good opening scene where everyone fracking dies. Everyone. I'm like, no way this is happening. I'm like when Weasel's drowning. I'm like, what is happening? Like from like we're a minute into the movie and people are already dying. Like I like that. I like how he just kind of just picked up. Like here we go. Um, what did you think about? Let's talk about that scene. What did you think about that?
Yeah, like I think it's so crazy. It's like because this movie is like so it's so darkly comic, right? Like it's like such a it's a dark comedy, you know what I mean? Like because they are playing because they're making you laugh. Like you said, Weasel dying, like
Did anyone check on where the weasel could swim? The weasel is dead!
that was funny. You know what I mean? Like it was funny. It's like, did anybody check if Weasel could swim? Like, you know what I mean? Like it was just like just this look from Amanda Waller, like, dude, like, are you kidding me? Like freaking but yeah, like him dying, like, but just things like that. You know, this movie, like characters will or yeah, characters will die in a gruesome and horrible way. And it's play and like sometimes it's played for laughs. You know what I mean? Like it's made as a joke. It's played off as a joke. It's a very darkly comic movie, like I said 3 other times already. But yeah, it's very enjoyable. Like you know, it's not for the squeamish, but at the same time, it's like there's so much gore that it's desensitizing as well. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, it is. So this time around, like it felt weird because the last movie we didn't know who the main character was. It was either Will Smith or Margot Robbie. But this one, I can you can argue that it was Idris Elba, but not completely. But I felt it was his arc. It was his story arc the most. Um,
I
I
would
just
agree. I would second that. I feel like you could argue that it was Idris Elba. What was his character's name?
Robert
Bloodsport.
Dubois, Bloodsport. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
preferred his real name than his code name. I'm like, oh, Bloodsport. Robert Dubois. That's sexy. I don't care. I'll say it.
um, but yeah, Bloodsport. I thought that Yeah, it was centered around him, but I thought that they did a really good job just kind of balancing the this huge cast that it had, because each character, I mean, Bloodsport arguably has the most I guess to do, maybe, you know what I mean, like, or he is kind of like the hero, but like he had just about as much screen time like as a lot of other characters. um but each of these characters kind of gets their time, A, to shine, but B, to get dive into their backstory a bit, you know what I mean. And I just love how the movie just kind of like you said earlier, it flows, like it just kind of takes its time, and it just like it doesn't rush things, you know what I mean, and it doesn't like hit you over the head like other, maybe other filmmakers might have tried to hit you over the head with like 20 minutes of freaking exposition to like get you to the same point that James Gunn like just did really quickly, you know what I mean. And it's like we don't have like just an exposition dump when Ratcatcher 2 is like kind of like telling us her story.
They brought us trinkets to live on, and they kept us warm at nights when we would have frozen. But eventually, my father's burdens became too heavy to carry.
In fact, like she's in character. But yeah, I was talking about how each of the characters, got moments to shine, and they found organic ways. That was the word I was looking for earlier, though. They found like organic ways to kind of like insert different things about each of the characters, right? Like, whereas like not every character did we get like a backstory for, but we did get like little bits about them, and enough that it explained their motivations to us, you know what I mean. And I was thinking about how like on my second view, and I've seen it a couple times now, I really enjoyed the film. But I've seen it on my second viewing, that scene where we start to get Ratcatcher 2's backstory, and it's played by Daniela Melchior. I'm not gonna front, I had to look that up, but but no, yeah, Daniela. And I don't know if that's the way you pronounce it either, but and it was phenomenally played. But I love the writing in that scene because it was a bit of an exposition dump, but it was completely in character because she was choosing, like her words she was choosing were leaving key things out, but we as the audience could see because it was being reflected next to her on the window as she was driving. And so like, or as they were in the van, but I just thought that was so great, like how we get to see like this sort of little backstory, but and it's like and it's show not tell. Even though she's saying stuff, she's like, oh, I grew up with my father, and my father, you know what I mean, he had burdens, but the burdens you could see in the reflection where like he had a heroin addiction, you know what I mean. And it's like his burdens became too strong, for him to carry, and all this, you know what I mean. But I thought that was, it was great. The movie, it was organic. Like it was everything like you said before, you know what I mean? Like everybody was on the same page. It felt like everybody fell in line under the director's rule. And he had a good vision and he knew how to accomplish it.
Agree. Yeah, no, that moment was that moment. I'm not the moment. So talking about that character, that actress, that scene. Well, not the actress, but that character. The final scene where with Taika Waititi, like that guy, that like where they're saying if the rats have, because that's their thing, right? Like why rats, stuff like that. That they're the in-story reason of why they chose rats. That made me cry. That made me tear up. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, that's beautiful, man. But that was, yeah. There was a lot of heart too in this movie. Like in that example, that's a great example of that. There was something I want to say with Idris Elba, like that moment too they had, like when he said,
Yeah, right, yeah. There, like that moment as they were like kind of like finally like each of them like kind of laid themselves bare in that moment. You know what I mean? Like each of them like took a chance and to be a little bit vulnerable in front of the other one, and because of that, they came away with a mutual respect for one another.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they could understand the other one a bit better, and you know what I mean. It just like it felt like because everybody because you know I mean they weren't the only ones listening to those stories either. You know what I mean? So I feel like everybody who was there like benefited from that. You know what I mean? And because of that conversation, they grew a bond together. You know.
Agreed. Yeah. So let's talk about the quirkiness of this kid. You know what? Frack, let's just go into it. Starro, man. They brought us Starro. We finally saw Starro live action. We saw him before in Smallville. I think kinda, not really. I don't think he was that far, but I'm like, But dude, I'm like, the fact that they brought Starro in, I'm like, I never thought I'd see Starro ever.
This is like almost like what this is like. This makes this such a comic. This is like such a comic book movie. You know what I mean? Like it's such a comic book movie, and it feels good to like see that so mainstream, and it pulled off so well. You know what I mean? Something that like a real nerd could really like nerd out about. You know what I mean? But like something that a general audience member could also like just step into, enjoy, and like not know anything about any of these characters. Like, shoot, I don't know. I really don't know anything about most of these characters. You know what I mean? To be honest, like, but you know, I know a lot. I know a lot about some, but you know, I didn't know much of anything about Bloodsport. I looked him up on Wikipedia and and found out he was a character in a Supergirl episode. I was like, oh, really? Like, I've seen that episode and I don't even remember that, but friggin'. But yeah, you know what I mean. But you know, James Gunn, he's already proved with Marvel that he can take characters that people don't really know much about, but then get you to care about them in under 2 hours. You know what I mean? And especially in a movie like this, when there's like 20 characters, but then we come away still like caring about some. You know what I mean? How'd you
Yes.
feel about speaking of characters? How'd you feel about King Shark?
The way I felt about King Shark is like what we discussed earlier before we started recording, was that I didn't care for him, and then you said too that he was this version of Groot, but without the heart. I'm like, yeah, I would second that, because I didn't care for him at all, at all.
Well,
And
I
then
don't know.
what did he add? What did he add to the team? He didn't add anything. Like he could be in the Hulk, I guess, but not really, because
But see, that's the thing. He could have been the Hulk, but we then don't. If he's the Hulk, then we need feats of strength. You know what I mean? Like we need feats of strength that matter, and we didn't get it. And like even in Endgame, where I feel like Hulk got shafted, like he freaking what did he do? He did something. What did he do? Oh well, he did the snap at least. Like that's like you know he was like that's like a feat of strength. It just shows like power, you know what I mean? Like Infinity War, Thor, like freaking restarts the star, you know what I mean? Like freaking raw, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, if he's the strong man, like where is his strongman stuff? But look, he ate a dude, you know what I mean? He you know chowed down on a couple of people as a shark, but like where's his strong guy stuff that he is doing to help the team? You know what I mean? Like there's a line from Amanda Waller, even like you need him when they're gonna kill him. You know what I mean? Because he almost ate like freaking Ratcatcher, and like freaking, and they were gonna kill him, and she's just like, no, he's stronger than all of you. You need him. You know what I mean? And it's like that kind of never came back where they like needed him. You know, like they all seem pretty capable.
like, what did he add to the proceedings though? Like I can't justify, like that's the only thing, like in hindsight, that's the only thing bugging about this movie. I keep forgetting he exists until they go back to my, oh yeah, you exist, you're a character. Because I didn't even notice what happened to him until like they cut to him with the fish, with the fishes,
Yeah,
whatever. Although I guess for lack of a better word, leeches.
I guess I wasn't sure what those were supposed to be honest.
But
I was
whatever
like,
they were.
all right.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this about? But I just, I'm like, no, nah.
Yeah, I think I feel kind of similar. Like, I wouldn't say he was without the heart, because there was like the moment that they had in the forest. Like I like that, but that was more on Ratcatcher as to why I like that. You know what I mean? Like just a lot. It really enjoyed like that character's like personality, like how it was just so she was such a being of love. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
and everything. It kind of came like her whole being kind of came from that, and I really like that about it. And how she even just says, you know what, if I die and I gambled on love, like that'll be a worthy death. You know what I mean? And like, and I was just like, what a freaking line. You know what I mean? Like, like the way she said it, but it just kind of like really showed like who she was as a character. Kind of, I feel like. But like I even like that but that was like kind of one of the only parts where I sensed heart in him, but I felt like that was more her power to like bring that across to different people, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, like I wonder, even because like, you know what I mean, like she doesn't control Sebastian with the wand, you know what I mean? Like Sebastian just kind of kicks it with her. And I was just like, oh, you know what, that's like a freaking, because Sebastian is her friend. You know what I mean? Like freaking, so she has ability, like so I'm just like, she has this ability to like ingratiate herself to others, like beyond species. You know what I mean? Like freaking,
that's true. I mean, yeah, you're right.
To see it, and so like her to be able to be like, oh no, like you know what, like freaking, we have to kill this dude. Like freaking, I can get across to him. You know what I mean? Like
that was a strong moment. He goes, well, "Can we be your friends?" Like that was the only moment I cared for King Shark, and that's it. And then I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're not gonna."
right.
All right. So thinking about what you think about Polka Dot Man? Because I thought he was awesome. I love that actor.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is, but he's in a
Robert
lot of stuff. I like.
Das Malshin or something like that. Das Malshin, anyways.
It's
But he's
different,
in, he's in Ant-Man, of course, and in other stuff I've seen it. What in The Dark Knight, of course.
that was the first time I saw him.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm glad he got a lot, because in Ant-Man he doesn't get a lot to play with.
Agreed.
This is like he's gotten, you know what I mean? This is we finally got a chance to see him to shine. And Polka Dot Man, that's like what I was talking about earlier on the show, like freaking this crazy, this very darkly comic movie, you know what I mean? Because here you got Polka Dot Man, this freaking like extremely like traumatized individual, you know what I mean? Like someone who is like really like going through it, you know what I mean? Like freaking he sees, and you see through his vision, you see like sees everybody as his mom. And
That
then
is
like
hilarious. Yes.
it's like, oh my gosh, like, and then like how he like you remember like in the bar, they're dancing in the bar, and they like show everybody dancing, and then they go back around and they show him dancing, and everybody's
This is his mom. Yep.
yeah, like
And with Starro too, and like when he throws the dust to Starro.
Pablo! You see who that is? Huh? It's your mom!
yeah,
And it's like, I'm like, oh my god. And I was talking about that too. So I'm going to stop for a minute. Like I love how they show the connectiveness of all the Starites, for lack of a better word, I don't know what to call them. I love
feel like
that.
Starro is like plural as well, though, you know.
Yeah, I could guess. Like
Yeah.
Vulcans? No, Vulcans.
So it's like always Starro, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
but yeah. No, I really like that, because it was like that concept. The Starro concept is so out there. Like the Starro concept is so out there, like that I would never expect to see that. You know what I mean? I would never expect to see that, because that's like it is in the comics. You know what I mean? Like straight out of a comic book, like freaking Starro right there. You know what I mean? Like I would not expect to see that. The way the little ones come out and then it's suck onto their face, it looks just like it does in the comics. You know what I mean? It looks just like that. Like, and I was just like, wow, like they just wow. like they just
Starro is why the Justice League got formed. So I'm like, this is deep
yeah.
cuts.
Yeah. That's so
Uh,
great. Starro versus the Suicide Squad.
Dude, that was, oh my god, that fight scene was awesome. Um, so let's talk about just the movie in general. Like, it's just so much better than the first one. And again, not that this is the first one, but like everything, like the actors, like even John. I was talking about John Cena's character, Peacemaker. That dude, like, I was surprised by his acting. I'm like, dude, you can act. Wow. Like, and then like you said,
we're coming off a freaking Space Jam, you know what I mean? Where we just had to kind of suffer through a bit of LeBron James acting, you know what I mean? Like, so freaking, like, this is a more than a pleasant surprise to see John Cena.
no, and then, so I love how that rivalry between Idris Elba and John Cena. I don't know the character name. Bloodsport and
Peacemaker and Bloodsport.
Peacemaker, and when they're shooting those people up at the. At that village or that the freedom fighters
Village,
Cap.
yeah.
I'm just like one of my favorite lines. I hope I can find it. Is like,
No one likes to show off.
Unless what they're showing off is dope as
That's true.
dude. And then other scene where Rick Flag is applauding to the chick. I forgot her name right now. I should look it up, but I'll do it later. And he goes, and these are
Typical Americans. Just running, guns blazing.
I know. This is messed up. These guys, they're f***ing idiots.
dude. I didn't know how much I love their frenemy relationship. I'm like, oh my god, why do I love this so much? Like, it reminded me a little bit of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like,
Yeah.
they're frenemies.
It was a bit. So okay, so you broached we were talking about John Cena a bit, right? Like I think his character is really interesting. It's almost like a Captain America if Captain America,
With a douchebag.
I guess, listened to the freaking government, right? like
you, so like, okay, yeah, okay.
kind of, you know what I mean? Like, because Captain America was Captain America because he was a good dude and he trusted in his good dudeness. You know what I mean? So he had the utmost confidence in his moral compass. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what drove him. You know what I mean? But like, this character he has that kind of confidence, like, in the government, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, freaking, he's like willing to do anything for, you know what I mean? Whatever, you know. Well, we know, but I think he's such an interesting character, and I think that John Cena played him so well. You know what I mean? Like, and even though he was played for the butt of a lot of jokes, he like, it never felt out of character. Like, it felt like this dude would actually say these things, you know what I mean? Or think these things. Like, it just felt like these characters were very realized in a short amount of time.
And his heel turn also, that seemed natural too, because he's such not a patriot. Well, all right, he believes he's a patriot, you know, like for peace or whatever. Like, that was such of him, like, a hate thing to do, and an Amanda Waller move too. I'm like, this is like everything that they did. I'm like, yes, that makes sense. I mean, yes, that makes sense to me. This character would do this. That character would do that.
Exactly. Like, and I love, like, he explains it himself when they're walking through the jungle in that hilarious line.
I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it.
Whatever.
And then followed by,
Decided that you should eat a big bag of dicks.
If this whole beach was completely covered in dicks, and somebody said I'd eat every dick until the beach was clean for liberty, I would say no problemo.
Why would someone put penises all over the beach?
Who knows why madmen do what they do?
I don't know why that. I'm like, dude, I love this character. I'm surprised how much I love that character, dude. Like, that was, I never knew who to root for until, like, that heel turn. But again, that heel turn to me was justified. Everything made sense and was earned, if that makes sense.
Right. And I even love, like, even he doesn't hesitate, but he tells Rick Flag, like, dude, like, I don't want to kill you. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
listen, like, I don't want to kill you. Like, he was like, listen, he said something like, yeah, peace. He was like, keeping the peace is that important. It is more important than even a life like a hero, life of a hero like yours. So please don't make me kill you. I think is something along that line
That
is
sounds
along
about
those
right.
lines.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I mean, like even the life of someone like you, so like of a hero, like he respects him. You know what I mean? Like and gives him props. Like of a hero like yours, dude. Like so, like please don't make me kill. Please just give me the thing. You know what I mean? Like it's like because I gotta get that thing. Like,
Right.
I gotta get that thing but like I don't have to kill you if you just give it to me. You know what I mean? Like freaking. But I like that moment, and I like moments like that because it's like having a character, two characters at odds. Because at that moment, it's like, okay, you got Rick Flag, who's like he can't let that go. You know what I mean? But Peacemaker can't compromise, you know, either.
And both of their arguments held water. Like I could like they were both like I guess like again like I couldn't disagree with either one of them. Like I obviously I was rooting for Rick Flag the most personally, but I'm like he has a point. John Cena's character has a point. Peacemaker has a point. I don't agree with it, but
Right.
it's a good point. Thus again proving James Gunn awesome writing. What else? But yeah, that surprised me too. Like so let's talk about. Did we talk about the beginning of the movie already?
I don't know, but we can go back to it.
Yeah. So because I should have been so I shouldn't have been surprised that they killed Rick Flag because the beginning of the movie, everyone fracking dies. Everyone is like, and that scene is to me. I'm like, what the frack is happening right now? Like, who? Like when they killed Boomerang, I'm like, you can't kill Jack Courtney off. I'm like, you did. And then this is the way they die. Is so that's what I liked about this too. Is like from the get go, they're like, no, people are gonna die in this movie. And I thought, I'm like, what is happening?
And I feel like I think it's funny because I feel like the people who died are in most of the promotional stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like they're most of it. Now the core team like is in a lot of the promotional stuff. I won't say that, but I see like a lot of the people who died in a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the commercials and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh man, like. And I love and the thing is, even those characters were interesting. You know what I mean? Like even those characters were interesting. The little bit that they just gave us of them, and it was enough. You know what I mean? Like, but even they were interesting. As there's this little banter, like in the airplane, like you know what I mean, heading to be the Suicide Squad. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean, and then like you know you got Boomerang and Harley like hazing the new guys, you know what I mean, or just Harley like leave him alone, like yeah, it's great.
It was oh my god, mwah. Chef's kiss as they say.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I wasn't like I was always interested in seeing it, but I was in no way hyped for Suicide Squad. Like
I did not give a frack for this movie, honestly. But now I do give a frack about this movie because this movie is dope. This movie is so much fun. I'm like, you guys made me care. Like, you guys made me care about rats, you know?
And it's so funny. Like, I'm sitting there, like, I'm like loving, like, because it was I felt like it was such a like Taika Waititi type of moment because I'm sitting here, like, I'm caring for this character, but I'm also dying laughing because they're like it's during Ratcatcher 2's like little backstory, and she's talking about how they like use rats as cover. You know what I mean? And they like showed like all the rats come over them, like snuggling them.
I wonder if Taika wrote that or if that was James Gunn. Or maybe they both but it felt so Taika though, you know?
It did feel really Taika. And it's such a funny but heartfelt moment. Like I love that moment. Like because it's like, oh, but it's like so hilarious just to think about them. And they're just like so caught, like snuggled and so happy. Just under like hundreds of rats. Freaking I love that.
I think that's it. Is there anything to talk about? Oh, this is something I do want to talk about that we mentioned again in the pre-show, that you mentioned in the pre-show. There's a moment that you said that bugged you. What was that moment?
Right. Okay. Yes. All right. You frackers. You frackers, if you frackers watch this show, I'm always like, listen. it doesn't matter what the character's like in the comic book. Just let the movie character show you who the movie character is, right? But like, and I think it's a testament to how much I enjoyed this movie. But my only problem with this movie is something that like I just feel like a character would never do, right? And I don't care if it's in the comic, I don't care if it's in the cartoon, I don't care if it's in live action, I don't care if it's in a movie. There isn't a world in which Amanda Waller gets hit in the head with a golf club.
Turn around now, goddammit! You dumb piece of shit! Mother... Goddammit! Task Force X! This is your last motherfucking warning!
And then the next time we see her, like the people who did that, like are just in another room, like next to her, like unfazed, like no, like that. Amanda Waller, like no, like that's the only thing you got. Like the only comeuppance you got from Amanda Waller, like no. That was like my only gripe with that movie is like no.
Plain devil's advocate. We didn't see the chick that knocked her out though.
We didn't see the chick that knocked her out. You are right about that. We did not see her. Interesting.
But yeah, that made me laugh. I'm like, ooh, someone's gonna be fired at the very, very least and best.
Right. Someone's gonna be fired out of a cannon into the sun. Futurama reference.
You have no idea how much I love that show. Yes, you do. All right. Any final comments? Any final thoughts on Suicide? What would you rate it on DCEU? That's my final comment and question.
It's hard. Like it's hard for me. Because I was talking to you earlier. Because before this, my favorite DCEU movie was Man of Steel. And I just barely consider that a DCEU movie because I just tacked the rest of the universe onto it, you know what I mean? But was Man of Steel, and it might still be because I just like Man of Steel. I like that movie a lot. I think it's a really good movie. I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but I like this movie. I had a whole lot of fun watching this movie. I like this movie certainly more than I like all the rest of the like DCEU movies. Wonder Woman. I like Wonder Woman a lot. You know what I mean? Like, but I like this more than that. You know what I mean? I had a great time at Aquaman. I like this more than that. I like Shazam. You know what I mean? I like this more than that. So yeah, I might like this. Yeah. As far as rank, it's at least at the moment tied with Man of Steel. It's at least tied.
I think I would definitely push this up to my favorite DCEU, followed by Shazam, and Aquaman, and then Wonder Woman, and then the rest are all kind of like
muddled.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's your final comment, final thoughts.
Yeah, good on you, Gun. No, it was a.
So that's what you should DC, and we know you're watching. Grab the Marvel writers, directors, and bring them over to write your stuff and direct your stuff, and then build. I don't know. I'm just a fan. With those money at you guys.
Well, hey, if they ever piss Feige off, I'm sure there's a hope. I'm sure there's a welcome arms over there for him.
I think I wish he was at DC for a minute. Like, can you just I don't know, give us something other than not Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman?
Right. Yeah. Right. Can you just run over there and just knock out a phase for us real quick?
Just check out a phase 1.
Right. Yeah. You just knock a phase out over there real quick. That'd be great.
It's just reference Office Space.
Yeah.
It's a good one too. We should do one of those too.
Freaking Office Space, yeah, that'd be nice. Or an office comedy. I only know Office Space, I guess. And The Office.
And 30 Rock.
And 30 Rock.
Scrubs.
It's a workplace comedy, I guess, but maybe workplace comedy is the genre. Yeah, I don't know that we look into. But each of those almost warrants an entire episode.
Doesn't it though? All right. Well, thank you, CJ. Thank you for joining us and nerding out about.
Oh wait!
Suicide.
Oh
Yes.
wait!
Okay, go
Oh
ahead.
wait!
Yes.
Do you have a? This movie is full of freaking crazy zingers and zany one like. Do you have a favorite one-liner or a joke from this movie?
The only joke that comes to mind right now, or line, and I forgot about it till you said it, was Harley Quinn's like, I'm pacing forward and backwards. That to me was that's such a Harley thing to do.
It's funny, like, because I was like, with Harley was like hit me a little weird in this movie, because I love Margot. Like we talk a lot. Like, I always love Margot as Harley. Like in whatever version, in whatever movie she's in, her being that character is the best part of that movie. You know what I mean? Like, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of her movie, you know what I mean? But like her being that character is still the best part of Harley Quinn and the Birds of, I forgot what that title said.
Harley Quinn and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn.
Yeah. And in the original Suicide Squad, like her being Harley Quinn, I thought was like the best part of that movie too. You know what I mean? Like, but so like, yeah, it hit me a little weird. Like sometimes like she'd say something and I'm like, well, that's not bad. But then like it'd continue and like it would just get me then. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, that's so awesome. You know what I mean? That's hilarious. Like there was a lot of little Harley-isms that I quite enjoyed in this movie. Yeah. If I had a favorite joke,
I'll be asking you, what's yours?
Yeah, if I had a favorite joke, I was telling you earlier, freaking being like, it was a freaking response, the Thinker's response to Ratcatcher 2's threat.
Quiet, please.
You are perceivably panicked. I'm guessing that you are not the alphas of this battalion.
Do you want a dozen angry rodents crawling up your ass?
My handsome man will be what you expect.
I forgot that's a line. And that is a great line too.
I just died at that, dude. I can't believe this freaking movie, dude. I can't believe this freaking movie. But yeah.
Alrighty. And with that, we will frack off. We'll see you same fracking time, same fracking channel. Bye.
Ta-ta.